Hello, this is Scotty McCoy. I am the author of the Ultimate Friday the 13th Trivia book, and I'm doing another book titled The Ultimate Slasher Movie Encyclopedia, and I am interviewing the cast and crew of the Friday the 13th franchise, and I have on the phone with me my favorite Jason, Ted White. He played the iconic Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Hi, Ted, how you doing? I'm doing great. I adored you in Friday the 13th. You were so menacing. It was just a great character. You played him with the utmost respect to the character.
Oh, scary, scary, scary. That's all I thought about, Scott. When I got that part, in fact, I'd never even seen Friday the 13th. I hate to say that, but I had never seen it. So I really didn't know what I was getting into.
Right.
But after meeting the kids, and most of them were all first timers in motion pictures, a few of them had done one or two shows before, but nobody really had any motion picture experience. I got a kick out of it. I enjoyed working with them. A lot of fun.
That's great.
That's great.
So the first question I got for you is, how did you get your start into acting?
Into acting?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, really and truly, I didn't. The only start I got into acting is, I've worked in the business for 60 years, and if your audience don't know it, I'm now 92 years old. But in that 60 years that I worked in the business, I worked with some of the best actors that I guess that's ever been on the silver screen. And start out with John Wayne, Clark Gable, Victor Mature, Rock Hudson, going down the line. Great actors, great actors. And you watch them day after day, and you're on the show sometimes for weeks and weeks. I never took a class in acting. I really didn't. I don't know if I'd have ever passed it had I taken the class. But after watching all these people for all the years that I've been in the business, it kind of came natural to me not to try to act, but just be Ted White, and that's what I did. I wasn't really acting; I was just being myself.
That's great. That's the best way to do it because when you're your true self, the best performance you can give is gonna be right there.
Well, I hope you're right.
What was your most memorable moment while filming Friday the 13th, the final chapter?
My most memorable moment. All right, I think I can answer that one pretty easy. And I hate to tell this story because it makes one person look very, very bad, and it makes me look like a hero, and that's not the way it was. That's
Right.
not the way it was at all. But I'll tell it to you. Judy Aronson, you know who that is, of course.
Yes.
Yes. She was in a little rubber raft and in the lake, and this is in January, and it's very, very cold, around 28 or 29 degrees. And I'm supposed to come up in the water underneath her and run a spear through the raft and in through her and kill her. And so that's a shot. So they put her in the raft. Now, she has a bikini bathing suit on. Now, you have to remember it's 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. It's so cold, 23 degrees. She's in the water with the bikini bathing suit on, and it's freezing cold. And they're setting the camera up, and people that don't know this, in the motion picture business, setting up a camera and getting a new setup for a new shot requires anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, 10, hour, 20, depending on how many people are in the shot. Well, in this case, there were only two, me and her, and the boat, and the little rubber boat, and the water. So, but they never thought of that ahead of time. They went ahead and had her get the award we're on, and get in the boat, not the boat, but the rubber tube, and they put her out in the water. And now they're setting the camera up on the bank to shoot this. Meanwhile, she's still out there, and she'd been out there for 30, 40 minutes, and I hear her call Joe Zito, who was the director, and say, "Please, Mr. Zito, I'm freezing to death out here. Can I come in for a minute?" He said, "No, we'll be loading film right now. We'll be ready in just a few minutes." Well, I looked at her, and her teeth were shattering so bad, and she huddled again. She said, "Please, I've got to get out for just a minute." And he said, "No." And I walked up, and I said, "Zito, if you don't let her out, I'm going to walk off this film." He said, "What do you mean you're going to walk?" I said, "I'm going to turn around and walk off, get in my car, and go home." "You can't do that." And I said, "Do you think I can't watch me?" And I turned around and started walking. He said, "Wait a minute, come back. I'll get her out." So they got her out, and I want to tell you what, from that day to today, she is still has repercussions from it. It was so bad, her nose, her eyes, ears.
Oh my God.
She's been going to doctors for years and years, and if you ever have a chance to interview her, she'll tell you the same story.
I would love to interview her.
She's a great gal. She
Awesome.
Really, and what a trooper.
Oh. Awesome. Do you have any contact info for her?
With her?
Yeah.
Yes, she's gone. My agent, I talked to my agent about her,
Okay.
and he took her on. And sometimes when I go on these conventions, he sends her with me, and she does very well. She's well known, of course, because that story got out, and I don't know how it got out. I never told anybody about it, but it got out, and when I would go on conventions, 90% of the time you have a Q&A,
Right.
and for your audience, that Q&A consists of questions and answers, and you get up on stage, and the audience has different microphones they pass around, and they ask you questions about the show and so forth.
Right.
And they all had read that, and so they all want me to tell the story over again, and I've told the story time and time again.
Wow.
But I guess that's probably one of the highlights of the film for me.
How was Joseph Zito as a director?
Well, I think I told you about the thing with Joe Zito and the girl in the tube and stuff, and told him that I would walk. And word for word, I'll tell you exactly what I told Joe Zito. When we got the girl out and I saw how blue she was and what was happening to her, I turned to him and I said, Zito, you are a bad, and I'm not going to use the cuss words I called him, but I said, when this show's over with, I'm going to kick your ass.
Wow.
And that's the way I left it. And from that day to this, if I've ever seen him, I'm going to fulfill that promise.
You did a very commendable thing for her, though, because if it wasn't for you, then she could have been a lot worse than it actually is, and it's bad enough to begin with.
Well, you know what? I don't know why she hadn't sued the studio.
Oh, I agree.
She's got problems. She's still having problems to this day.
It's insane.
Her ears, her throat, her eyes.
Oh.
It's a very bad situation. She goes in once every month or 2 months, and they have to give her all kinds of, I don't know. But Judy's just a trooper. She doesn't say anything about it. She's gone with me a couple of times on conventions, and she just says, well, it's what it is, and that's it. And she doesn't go any further with it than that. I'm one of her biggest fans. I really am.
Awesome. That is. To hear the rest of my interview with Ted White, who played the legendary and iconic Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th Part 4 of the final chapter, you can order the Ultimate Slasher Movie Encyclopedia. To find out when the Ultimate Slasher Movie Encyclopedia is for sale, you can like my Facebook fan page at www.facebook.com/smccoyauthor.